All right, here it is, Tom. Um, Point some things out here. Got your stop eye here. It's pointing down versus my other style where it's pointing up. That eliminates problems with the lights. Sometimes there's some factory lights occasionally. No one's ever complained, but I have found it myself. It got me a couple times where I had to adjust the machine just an eighth of an inch or something to get it to not reflect off the light. Well, obviously, no one's ever complained, but if a machine happened to be bolted down in that perfect spot, it would be a problem. So I think the eye pointing down is good. I'm not sure that's exactly where the eye will be. It works just fine right there. However, I'd like to squeeze it up somewhere between the rollers, but I just don't know if there's room up there. So I'm looking at that. It'd be nice if I could tuck it in up in here, but we'll see. But this is, here's your final folds right here. Those are adjustable, out and in. So you can get as much curl on that card. Obviously right now it's flex, but when it comes out it won't be. It'll stand up. So you can get it like perfectly straight, or you can even get it so that it's curled in a little bit if you want. The drive wheels are all spring loaded individually, kind of like the one you gave me actually. And you know, I may slightly change that spring up there, how that works, but it works perfectly fine the way it is. I mean, really nothing needs changed. It would run like this for years without a problem, but there's some things I'll probably touch up. These rails here can be moved to the outside. That's why the top bar is longer. So if you move those rails to the outside, it gives you more room, so you could run a wider piece through it if you ever need it. So that's a simple option there. Obviously, to set your folds, you just simply move your plow rail, and more or less, this here's the size of your fold. It's the outside of the arm to the outside of the arm is the fold. Is the center of the U, and then of course the outside of the U rides up the ramp there and gives you your plow fold. Very, very simple. Put a new Grosshop motor in here. It's got 12 inch-pounds of torque, so that's way more than well, I had 6 inch-pounds and that wasn't enough. So I don't know exactly, you know, eventually I want to try to get the torque off some of my machines so I know which models, but this one's got more torque than it could ever need, trust me. It doesn't even begin to struggle at all, and that gives you even more braking power as well. Very simple to change out the belts. You just take off 2 screws. You would take off these two, and then the shafts slide out, put new belts in, slide the shafts in. It's quick and simple. Pretty much like any other friction feeder, you got a tail support here, which keeps, so you can load it up as high as you want. And keep the weight off it. And I added these guides that you can see here to guide you coming in out of the pile to keep you straight. So we have those. And only other changes, the wiring to the eye, instead of it being hardwired, goes inside here now to a plug. So you can reach in there and unscrew it, and that way you can lift this whole carriage off, and your eye is no longer attached to the machine, you know, if you wanted to work on it or something. Whereas before, you had to keep it close to the machine because the wire was stretched. I didn't care for that. So, and then I had it mounted out here, but then it was sticking way out, and I thought, you know, someone's going to walk by that and hit it and bend that and rip that right off. So I moved that. On the back here, you got your main speed, potentiometer, and then the 2 gold knobs are your delay knobs for your feed and also your delay for the stop eye. So you can delay both eyes. Now, the delay for the stop eye, you wouldn't want to ever delay it anymore. So that's why I like to slide it up in, hide it up inside there if I can get it tucked in there somewhere. And then you can adjust the delay, and then you can have the card stick out a little bit if you want, you know, or you could have it, you know, flush back here. Gives you some options there. But right now with the eye at the very end, of course, by the time it hits it, you would want to delay it or the card would be out of the machine. I don't see any reason to buy the 2-inch belts. Just put the two 1 inches up against each other. I mean, I just don't see why spend the money. Basically, the 2-inch wide belt's the same almost as if you bought two 1-inch. But the problem is I got to buy like a whole bunch of them. So maybe when you buy 6 feeders, we can look at it. But I still don't think it's probably even worth the trouble since I stock them. And then I went up to a real thick belt here on the outtake. You had a real thin belt when I was there. This one is the same thickness as those, different material, but it raises the card up. Other change I might make, I think I'm going to make this UHMW. That way the belts slide on it. You know, I mean, it's not really making any sound now. Sometimes I get a little bit of a whistle. I don't seem to be hearing that now, probably because the wheels pressing down, get rid of that. But that'd be a good piece to be UHMW because it, you know, it'll be nice and slick and it'd slide on there. And I think maybe we'll make the plows out of UHMW, but you could run it for years with aluminum. I just can't see the aluminum soft. I agree, but man, that's a lot of paper to wear that. I know you mentioned stainless. Of course, that's harder. Not a problem. Not expensive to do. I get stuff ordered from WaterJet almost every week. But I got a UHMW order going in here, and I think we could just probably put it on that. And I'm going to order some of them plates. And I think I'm going to make this front nose piece here, which, without taking the paper out, it comes down in curves, and it kind of shingles the paper, and also friction feeds off some of it before it actually gets to the actual final friction eye there that's made of rubber. I think I'll make that out of UHMW instead of aluminum because, you know, the paper will want to slide down it, and I may even go UHMW with these because, once again, you know, it's slicker. So I never thought about that before, but that could be some real good applications for the material. I don't have, you know, placards on your buttons. I have some over there in my shop, so I'll add those. This is your PNPI right here. I'm going to be pushing a button here in a minute for my demo. So these knobs, of course, take the whole top carriage off. A lot of these knobs could be replaced with thumb screws, but I think your factory guy said he'd just rather, you know, me include the, you know, a nice, you know, a nice wrench with it, because then you can just crank it down and it's not going to move. I think that's probably best. You know, with these here, you get enough leverage on them that they're not really going to move. I don't know if I'd change that. But some of this stuff here, when you set your plows up, I mean, that's pretty easy. I mean, we could just put a little holder on the side of the machine if you wanted to hold the wrench. And then I also include a little wrench that lets you adjust these high-centered sheaves here. But I don't see you moving those based on what we talked about. So I have a custom board coming out in the next 2 weeks for this. So the only difference with that and what's on this particular machine is it would eliminate a couple of relays that are inside the machine. And it will allow for an inch button that would go there. The inch button's nice because you can tap an inch some through when you're setting it up. That's the only time you use it. But the way the system is wired now, the inch button doesn't work unless I drop a PLC in it. And I can't get it. There's no way for me to get the logic right. So those boards are supposed to be going into manufacture here like this week. So, you know, depending on what we do with this one, I can ship this one out right away. You guys can start running it and trying it. Or you can just drag your feet for 10 days before I ship it, and then you'll have the new board. You know, and then But this one here runs as good as any one you're going to get. I'm confident on it. So let me go ahead. I'm going to use this as my trigger. I do not have a PNPI right now in stock. I normally stock them, but I just shipped my last one, and all my eyes are NPN, and I can't make that work with this particular machine. So I'll be just pushing the button here to make it feed. Some of these cards have been ran through here multiple times, so we're getting a bit weak. And there you have it. Let me know if I can show you anything more. I think the lighting could be a little bit better down here.